Welcome back to ETBU Extra. Thank you for clicking in this afternoon. Our guest now is the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Dustin Howard. And Coach, first of all, let's talk about the game you had last night. Took the long road trip down Highway 80 to the west to Longview, Texas to play rival Laterno. And glad to report, and of course a lot of folks saw this on the website, you won last night, 74-72. I was kind of watching that game on Twitter. That was a game that kind of went back and forth.
Yeah, well, it's a rivalry game, so you can always throw the records out the window because Laterno, wants to beat us as bad as we want to beat them, and they even had some shirts made up that says Highway 80 rivalry on it and beat ETBU and stuff like that. But it's played exactly like a rivalry game should be played. It was back and forth the entire game, and it was a war. It wasn't the most beautiful game ever played, but it was a war, and in the end, we were able to hang on and get the victory.
Well, I've said on the broadcast Saturday was when you win, there's always a smile on your face. And when you get a win on the road in the ASC, you have done something.
Yeah, it's tough. People don't understand. We had a lot of new players, a lot of freshmen, and we try to coach it in the beginning in practice. And when they, I make a bad call in practice, or some momentum happens in practice. We try to coach. Hey, on the road in the ASC is really tough, and I don't know how other conferences are. But I do know that on the road in the ASC, it's hard to win. So anytime you can get a win on the road, that's a great thing.
Okay, with that win last night, you moved your conference record to 4-7. You're 8-8 on the year, and with that 4-7 record, there's all kinds of teams fighting at those spots to get in the tournament in the year. Do you really pay attention right now? Of course, every win's important, obviously.
Yeah, every win's important, but we do look at the scenarios, but not very deep. We just glance at the standings and say, there's teams with 6 wins are all the way up to 3rd place in our conference, and we've got 4 wins. So we just look at that and use it as motivation to say, hey, we're only 2 games out of being right in the thick of this thing. We beat our opponent ranked in the top 4, and we played a lot of opponents at the top close. So, we've been trying to, kind of telling ourselves and telling you guys that we've been building momentum and we're progressing towards where we need to be. And I think that still holds true. We're making progress and we're playing better as the season gets going. And, we look forward to the challenge of the next 9 games.
Of course, last night you played Laterno in Longview. You lost to them earlier in the season, the conference schedule. Did not have the services of Amber Carver. And, of course, last night your 6'6" post player was able to play. She had 17 points along with senior Amanda Rucker. Carver's difference we've seen in those 2 games made a difference, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And, as a coach, you never want to say, well, one player makes that much of a difference. And but as in last night's game, as compared to the first one, she made a big difference. She made more of a big difference on the rebounding side of things. She had 14 rebounds.
Yes, she did.
And we got out-rebounded tremendously in the first game against Laterno at our place. They're a very physical, very tough team. They play really hard. And, she was able to help us neutralize the rebounding advantage that they had, and, we ended up with a different result. So definitely, with a senior, that her talent and leadership is going to help us for sure.
Speaking with the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Dustin Howard, here today on ETBU Extra. Before we talk about tomorrow night's game at Ornelas against Louisiana College, I've been waiting to talk about this game. It's the game that happened Saturday as the Tigers won the buzzer beater against Howard Payne, 84-82. Now, I don't know if you recall this or not, but before that ball game started, you asked me point blank, when was the last time Lady Tigers have ever beaten Howard Payne? Of course, I didn't know the answer. It's since 2001. Yeah. Was there a particular reason why you asked that? Were you going to use that in your motivational speech to the girls or not?
I don't know. Maybe that I thought we had a chance to win. I'm not certain. Even a little bit more weird than that. When I saw the officials coming out, I told the officials, I said, y'all are lucky y'all picked the correct place because this is going to be the most exciting game in the ASC today. And little did I know I was correct. That it went down to the wire. It was a great comeback and exciting win.
Before we talk about the shot that Malaysia Chisholm made at the end of the ball game to win it, that was a ball game that you had to come back from behind and show a lot of character.
Yeah, and when we talk about making progress as far as how we're playing together and how we're finishing games, that's one of the things we're talking about. Our team 5 games ago would have been down 10 and would have not known how to come back from that. They would have tried to score all at one time and not, trust the system. And, we started pressing at that point, and we talked about what we needed to do during that comeback, and it happened. And I think that our team is growing up, and, it is shown we've been able to finish off the last 2 games,
Let's kind of go to the last 11 seconds of the ballgame. You've said before on ETBU Extra how you're so impressed with Malaysia Chisholm's play and how she can steal the basketball. Of course, she is winning the game under 30 steals, but now has 31 steals after 2 ball games. She has the ability, I guess, just to anticipate where the ball's going, because take us through what happened as you're coaching and you see the last 11 seconds come down on the clock.
Well, that's just something you're born with, is the ability to anticipate. And I've told you before that she reminds me of a lot of our assistant coach, Coach Marzetta Shepard Falls. She just anticipates, and there's been several times throughout the season that I'm coaching defense and I'm getting everybody positioned and yelling at them what our instructions are, and all of a sudden I look up and Malaysia's stolen the ball and she's going the other way, and that's just one of those things that you can't coach, and that was a reason why she was in at the end of the basketball game for defense and rebounding purposes. And she, I'm looking and we're playing and we're trying to figure out what they're going to do at the end, and all of a sudden. Things that I've seen in practice and games so far this year, freshman Malaysia Chisholm just stepped in front of one and laid it up off 2 feet and won the game.
Did you ever think that when she stole that ball, that time was going to run out?
Well, no. Actually, I didn't. I knew she had a chance because as soon as the steal happened, I looked up at the clock and saw 4 seconds. And that's, in the way we think about it, that's 4 dribbles. And the only thing I said, and she probably didn't even hear me, but the only thing I said is when she stole the ball was I yelled, "Lay it up." I didn't want her to stop and try to shoot, and as fast as she was running, they weren't going to catch her.
She makes the layup. The ball goes through the hoop, the buzzer sounds, and the Tigers win over Howard Payne by a final score of 84-82. It's the first time the Tigers have beaten Howard Payne since 2001. And, of course, in the American Southwest Conference, Howard Payne is a storied program. Of course, they won a national championship a few years back.
Yes, they're one of the most storied programs, especially in the D3 era. They won a national championship, was 33-0 that year, and their head coach was actually the best player and first team All-American from that team. So it's a huge win for us. Their program is as solid as they come, and they're not a shabby team. They've had some close games this year, but they're not a shabby team. There's nothing taken away. That was not a weak Howard Payne team. That was just an exceptional effort from our girls that day, and I'm proud for them that they got to experience that win.
We're talking about the buzzer beater win the Tigers had against Howard Payne this past Saturday at Ornelas. Kind of share with me, Coach, if you would, your emotions as a coach when you win a game like that.
Well, the other day when she stole the ball and I looked, I fist pumped and celebrated, but at the same time I stopped and just enjoyed my players. Coach Galloway, the famous Louisiana Texas A&M coach, came by early in the season one day and told me, "Coach, I just want to, tell you something." And he watches practice sometimes and gives advice sometimes. And he just told me, "Coach, I want to tell you, this is what I learned in my career. You need to enjoy your players. It's about wins and losses and just about building character and, giving kids, life skills and life lessons so that they can come on and be successful adults." But he said stop and enjoy your players. And for some reason, like when that ball went through the net, I stopped and I just watched the celebration and just enjoyed their excitement and, was just glad to see it and glad that they got to experience it.
And if you will go to the ETBU website and watch that winning shot, you will see the players all jumping all over Malaysia at the middle of the court, and you are just sitting back and watching them enjoy the victory. Now, as a broadcaster, look for my hands coming up in the air and going crazy as well as I come off my chair when she makes the bucket to beat Howard Payne. Well, the Tigers, with that win, go on and win last night against Laterno. But now there's always another game, there seems to speak. And let's turn our focus now on the game that you have tomorrow night at Ornelas as you're in the thick of the race to make the ASC postseason. You host Louisiana College, a team that you lost 90-84 when you played them the first go-around. But things are different when you got your home court and a team comes in and has already beaten you.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, we've had some success against opponents over the last 3 years that we played for the second time. So I think that's an advantage that, our players were able to learn a lot from the first time. LC has 9 seniors. They're a very veteran team. They were at home. They made the shots and made the plays at the end of the game like they're supposed to with their veteran team on their home court. And we just couldn't get one to bounce our way. But, we've got a different game plan and ready to play. And we're going to see if we can't slow them down a little bit more and see if we can't capitalize on our matchup advantages. But, we've got a different game plan, and it's a different team. And, hey, we've won 3 in a row now, and our team is going to bring a different attitude to this game. And we know how important it is to keep on the winning streak and to battle to get where we need to be in the standings. So it should be a very fun, spirited contest, and I assume Ornelas is going to be rocking once again.
I've heard coaches say, Coach Howard, that when you get a string of wins, it kind of breeds more wins. Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I do believe in that. Just like in baseball and softball, hitting is contagious, and the same thing in basketball. Success breeds success. When you get people they learn how to win, and I think that's one of the things that we've been learning throughout the year. We had a few games early that we just couldn't quite finish them off, and now we finished off a couple, and I think success breeds success, and momentum is a real thing, and I think we have some right now.
When you lost to Louisiana College 90-80 from the first go-round, you had some good performances from your teammates. April Leonard had 18 points in the ball game, Amber Carver 17. But some folks came off the bench in that ball game and helped, even though you lost. Secret Davis with 16, Caitlin Packett with 12. And Caitlin last night lit the net up at LaTourneau last night. You kind of expect that from your bench players, don't you?
Yeah, and they're gaining confidence at the same time. They're getting settled in their role. They know that when they come off the bench, they know exactly what we expect. And we saw Caitlin do it at LC, and we saw Caitlin do it at Dallas, and we saw Caitlin do it last night too. And really and truly, we talked about after the game that at that point in time, Amanda and Amber both were on the bench with in foul trouble, and that's 40 points a game of our 70 points that's sitting on the bench right there, and we were able to go on a run to extend the lead and get it all the way up to 10. With them on the bench, and that's what we talk about with everyone that comes off the bench is knowing your role and advancing, and it's good to see that because those players that we depend on to score and make plays, they need rest, and sometimes they get hurt, sometimes they get in foul trouble. So knowing that you've got a bench that you can go to that you can depend on is a really big positive thing.
Well, Coach, as fans come to Ornelas Gym tomorrow night to watch you play Louisiana College for the second time this year, what can we look forward to from the Lady Tigers out on the floor?
Well, it should be some fun basketball. I expect another high-scoring game. Louisiana College likes to play fast, and it's our mentality that when they press and give us something easy that we're going to take it. So it should be a fast game. It should be very physical, and it's another semi-rivalry game from our neighbor to the east. And we have a lot of Louisiana kids on our roster that want this game. I'm from Louisiana. I'd like to beat these guys. And more importantly than both of those things, we need a win to keep climbing up the standings.
That's right. Well, Coach, best to you and your Lady Tigers tomorrow night at Ornelas Gym. Thank you for stopping by on E2 Extra.
Thank you.
Been visiting with the head coach of the Lady Tigers, Dustin Howard. When we come back after the break, we're going to visit with one of his players, Malaysia Chisholm, who had that game-winning bucket in the Tigers' win on Saturday against Howard Payne. You're listening to E2 Extra. We're back in just a moment.